Hello, ACET friends. I'm Tammy Knight. I am the president of ACET, and welcome to our interview and expert for our second newsletter edition. And today we have with us Rickey Santellana, who works with the Emergent Bilingual Division at TEA. Rickey, do you want to give them your title more formally?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. And my title has changed. I guess I guess it's been about a year now, but I'm still trying to get used to it. So the new title is State Federal Engagement Projects Manager. I had been holding the title of Title III Coordinator for 6.5 years, but now I have a new one.
Okay. Does this mean that you're more broad beyond just Title III?
Well, Title III still falls under this, so I'm still holding on to that work. But it was, yeah, very much, noticing that a lot of the things I was doing was very project related, because we have so many grants, and then also engagement is one of those areas that we're trying to strengthen. So a lot of my work and effort go into that. So they just decided, hey, let's just add it to your title.
Okay, well, it's a really important part of your role, it sounds like. Well, let's dive in then. Our first question is kind of on that note. I'd like for you to give us an elevator pitch to tell our membership what is it that you do at the agency.
Yes. Okay. So, well, I will say, my main priority is going to always be about the federal guidance around Title III. So that is, I am the primary contact on our team that provides that guidance and leads our annual validation process, provides the guidance around allowances with funding. I'm also the one who coordinates with the other federal teams under ESSA to work on the application, the compliance report, the training videos. And so I would say probably about 50% of my workload is Title III related. And then I would say the other half would be divided up between, focusing on engagement work that isn't always around Title III. And then also project management. So our division actually has some discretionary grants that we award out, and so I lead and oversee those discretionary grants. So we have 5 of them that produce products, resources, and then also I oversee the ESC Title III grant. So yeah, it's a lot of variety of different works, from just not just policy guidance, but then also development of resources.
So are the discretionary grants that you oversee also related to emergent bilingual, or do they
Y-
differ?
Yeah, no, they're all rooted in, all Title III. So, still connecting the dots as far as what is the outcome. They're still intended to help, language development, helping families. That's from our TXEL web portal to our lead app to certification prep resources to build capacity. We have a resource we're working on that's going to be for community partners working with families. We have a parent family ambassador program that's coming up, that's going to be new coming up this next school year. I mean, so all of it is related to emerging bilingual students and or families.
Wow, it sounds really rewarding.
It
Um,
is.
all right, well, let's have a little bit of background on you. Tell us, what was your pathway to the position that you're in right now? Where did you start and how did you end up where you are?
Yeah. Okay. So my first experience into the educational school system is I actually started as a paraprofessional. My first year in Wichita Falls ISD, which is in the Region 9 area, it was at a time when they were actually consolidating some schools into these bigger elementaries that are brand new. So I kind of had to wait for the dust to settle to be able to get into a classroom. But while I was waiting, I went ahead and grabbed a paraprofessional position, working in a same campus under the same leadership that I had done my student teaching with. And so I really appreciated that 1 year as a paraprofessional, because it's like behind the scenes, understanding that support staff and what they do. And then I transitioned right into teaching third grade. I was an ESL third grade science and ELA teacher. And so I did that for a few years, transitioned to first grade, taught first grade for quite a few years. And then my last year in the classroom, I taught Head Start. So I was able to do that and get experience of working with pre-K 3-year-old kids and families. That's really where I've kind of found the passion working with families is working through that program. Got my master's in counseling because I was going in my mind transition to be a school counselor. That was also the same time that I started exploring working at the service center. So I then got employed to work at Region 9 there in Wichita Falls. So I did that for 3 years, working with migrant families, supporting Title III, also the state side with, LPACing. And then it was time to kind of start thinking about relocating. So my wife and I had family in the San Antonio area, so we wanted to be able to get closer. We had just had a daughter. She was 2 at the time, and so we started exploring positions. And so I decided to apply at TEA. There was an opening in the migrant department. I applied, was hired. I started January of 2017, working actually in the curriculum division because that's where we resided at the time. I came in right about the time where the Title III coordinator, Esmeralda, who is now in assessment, she was actually transitioning out. So they decided after a couple months of me working with in the migrant department to move me over into Title III. And so I had already had that field experience at the ESC. So March of 2017, I started actually leading Title III, and then we moved into special populations. It was under Dr. Porter. It was a brand new department that was being built out, and so now, like I said, 7.5 years, still being a part of the same division. We've had a name change, few different changes of leadership, but as the veteran now on the team, I've kind of somewhat really I've enjoyed where I've been. So that's kind of where I've been from a paraprofessional all the way up and now to where I am.
That's really interesting. All that experience has really given you a valuable perspective because
Oh
you know what
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
to be in the shoes of all of those people, and it's given you a unique perspective. That's really cool. I didn't know all that about you. I started out in third grade as a
Oh
third grade
yeah, yeah.
teacher.
I
It's one of my
loved third
favorite grades.
grade.
Yeah,
It was
they're really,
at the
it's a good
at,
age.
yeah, it was right there when they were still teaching cursive, you know.
I taught cursive
And so
too.
and then I was like, you know what? I'm going down to first grade. I'm going to teach handwriting because that's where I need this.
hmm hmm
But yeah, and then everybody says most educators tend to go up in grades, and I went the other way. I went down, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I went down literally to the very beginning of them being dropped off for the
hmm
first time, and you know, them crying, parents crying, everybody's crying. It's like it's okay, but loved that last year. But it was
hmm
just, I had finished my master's. It was just
Yeah,
that
it's
time to
time to move on.
transition.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you kind of explained how your role has changed since you worked at TEA. So let's skip ahead. This next one is a question that would be what kind of advice you would give to a program person in a district. As you know, there's a lot of times people say sometimes that it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose where everything's coming at you at once.
Right.
So if you were a person who has multiple projects coming due at the same time and very little time, what kind of advice do you have for someone in that position to manage that and keep your sanity?
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely depends on, um, what is that priority? Sometimes I take that, some of that direction from my leadership, as far as like at this time, this is what we need prioritized, and sometimes it's based off the needs. If the field is needing this and there's an urgency, for example, the summer of 2020, there was a shift in everything. We stopped work on some things because the priority at the time was now to get resources developed fast. And so I would say, to anybody who is new in their role, or sometimes it's, turnover of positions, and I've worked with people, and I've heard, as far as like, they're not replacing, they're just moving their workload over to me, and so now I have like double the work. And so I definitely say, you just have to really create systems. I always say, systems in place really helps keep your sanity, because I do that. I have to have spreadsheets. My calendar is like my best friend, because I mean, I'm constantly checking my calendar, because that keeps me going. I set certain times, as far as I'm working on this for 1 hour, I'm working on this for 1 hour, and that's the way for me to like move the needle a little bit at a time, just enough. And and lean on people. I think that's the other thing too, is like, who can you start reaching out to for support? I think for myself, I've had to, be very vulnerable to be able to say, hey, I need help, because if not, we're going to drown, and nobody's going to know that I'm drowning unless I say something. And so, just attend as much um, webinars, trainings as you can. I say also stay very close and connected to your ESCs. When I meet new program directors, I'm like, you have Lifeline right there in your backyard with your ESC, and they're going to be there to support you. But you need to reach out and let them know that you need help, so that they have you on their radar, because you may not realize that you're struggling, but if every once in a while having somebody reach out and say, hey, how's it going, can make a world of a difference, to somebody who is new, or somebody who is taken on, sometimes beyond their capacity. But I just say, take it one day at a time. You know, things aren't going to happen overnight, and sometimes it doesn't even happen in one academic year. It usually takes a couple years for systems to fall into place before you actually establish support. But yeah, I definitely say, you just kind of have to reach out for help, and then just lean in, or take the lead of somebody who says what's a priority, and that's what you focus on. You take it one day at a time.
Those are great pieces of advice. So I heard organization, chunk your work into chunks, delegate, and be sure to ask for help and seek help where
Yeah.
needed. Perfect advice. I love it. We're going to turn the page, and we're going to now we've talked professionally, but we want to know a little bit more about you as a
Okay.
person. So I have a few questions to ask you that's just about you, so that our members can know who you are. So we were just talked about being stressed at work. Do you ever like to watch TV to unwind? And if so, what binge-worthy TV show recommendations do you have for us?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm one of those too. Like I'll find a series that has quite a few seasons before I like jump into it. If there's only like two seasons, I usually don't. It's like I need to be committed. Like I need to like I need to know this is gonna last for a while. I would say, like, even like right now, what I'm watching is the 911 series. It's on Hulu, um, and now I'm at a point where I'm having to wait for the next episode. I'm like, oh, that was
That's
like, so
hard.
I found another one. So, but I was like, so I'm big on like those type of things as far as like rescues. Um, so 911 is one, and then I also like, like Brothers and Sisters, Parenthood. Those are also like very wholesome, very, comforting.
Feel good shows.
Exactly. So sometimes it's like at the end of the day, sometimes, I have a bad habit of like watching one episode after next episode too late into the night. It's like I need to turn off my phone and go to bed. But like I said, right now, that 911, even though it's like thrilling it and like gets your energy going, but to me, I'm like, it's like the right type of energy for me at that time of night, and it really distracts me from my work.
Mhm. All right, I'll have to look into those. I haven't watched
Yeah.
that show. Okay, our next question is, what is your cell phone wallpaper? Just, that says a lot about a person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it will show up on my
Maybe
screen,
you
but I
can
will
send me a
say
screenshot of it. Oh, I see a
it's
precious little
it's
girl.
my daughter. She's a
Uh-huh.
gymnast, and she's on my lock screen and my home screen.
Uh-huh.
But and I'll change it out. If she gets a new picture, I'm like, all right, change out the picture.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
She's
always my
obviously
daughter.
very special to you. Okay. Well, okay, next question is, what might our audience be surprised to learn about you?
Um, I would say that um, when we were relocating from Wichita Falls to the Austin area, my wife and I and our little girl at the time did long-term RV living for 3 years.
Really?
So we sold our house and everything in Wichita Falls, and we were told, oh yeah, it's only going to be about 120 days or something, on average. No, 23 days we were already in contract. We were not even yet thinking where we're going to live, what we're going to do, because we had not even yet applied for positions. So, um, so we had been watching a lot of series like the tiny house living kind of stuff, and so we bought a fifth wheel RV, and so we lived on that into it was a RV resort there in Wichita Falls, and then when we got our jobs in the Austin area, we hooked up the RV. At the time, I didn't have a vehicle to pull it, so there's companies that will pull it. So they took it all the way down south of Austin. We parked it there for a few months, and then we ended up relocating after 6 months into the hill country, Dripping Springs. We did that for about a year and a half. Then we moved it again to outside of San Antonio. So 3 years, it was I mean, now let me tell you, some of these are big and fancy, and so everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, how do you manage?" I'm like, "It's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, granite countertops, floating deck." I tell you, I'm not suffering. Okay, so if anything, my partner, she was like, living that minimalist, simple life. Definitely, I mean, you save money. You can't buy things
Yeah.
because you can't put it anywhere. All your furniture is already built in.
Uh-huh.
And it forced you to be outside. So we did a lot of nature walks, got to see like deer, turkeys. We lived always near a creek, so there's always like water running, crawfish. So it was nice. Now when my daughter needed to get into kindergarten, we actually had to like park it. It's in storage, but because we actually had to get an address that was actually within the attendance zone. Um, but we still have it, and don't know if down the road if we end up back in it. But it was. I don't think everybody can do it. 3 years.
No. That's
Probably.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's about about a square footage of like a two-car garage.
Mhm.
Living space wise.
Uh-huh.
But everything you needed was there. I learned quickly how to winterize, how to switch propane
Uh-huh.
tanks. Meeting new people all the time. People come and go,
Mhm.
and we still stay connected to some people that we've met.
That is so cool. I did not know that. Okay. Okay, next question is if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would you say?
I would tell my younger self to really think outside of the city limits, outside of Texas. I think I grew up in a small rural town, more cows than people, that kind of population, and you know, the idea of like careers beyond what I would see or even here in school, um, I never had on my radar. I wanted to be an illustrator for Disney. Um, I loved drawing, but there was like I didn't know how to get there, how to connect the dots to that career, and so I definitely would tell my younger self like dream bigger, and because not that I don't regret where I'm at now. I mean, obviously someone knew there was a higher power that knew exactly where I need to be, but I think even it probably still even occurs now, um, that experience and not having that experience, but just really think big, dream big. Um, yeah, that's what I
That's
would tell
interesting.
myself.
Well, it's not too late for you to become an illustrator for Disney. So keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
well, let me tell you, I use all my creativity in developing, the web portal to marketing stuff. I mean, things I still incorporate, which I
Uh-huh.
love that part of my job. I love compliance.
Yeah.
I can do that, but being able to actually help design resources and tools gives
Yeah.
me that outlet to be able to be creative.
Uh-huh. So you get to use left and right brain.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of our interview, but I like to end our interview with a rapid fire this or that round. So the rules
Okay.
on this is really don't overthink it. I'm going to give you a choice of this or that. And
Okay.
don't overthink it. Just go with your gut. Just say what it is. You don't even need to explain it unless you just want to. Okay.
All right.
All right. All right. Burger or hot dog?
Burger.
Camping or hotel stay? I think we know.
Camping.
Swimming pool or ocean?
Ocean.
Playing an instrument or listening to music?
Playing an instrument.
Okay, now I need to know which one.
I played the tenor sax.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Okay. Jigsaw puzzles or board games?
Board games.
Snowball fight or laser tag?
Laser tag.
Horseback riding or swimming with dolphins?
Ooh. Horseback riding.
Okay. Okay, do you want your superpower to be flying or invisibility?
Invisibility.
Me too. Okay, the last one. Would you rather have a magic lamp or a flying carpet?
Magic lamp. I'm not a big
Okay.
fan of heights. So
Okay.
anything that puts me in the air, that's a no.
Okay. Well, it has been so much fun getting to know you a little bit better, Rickey. I thank you for your time. I know you're super busy right now, so thanks
Oh,
for
it was
taking the
great.
time to let us know a little bit more about you, membership wise. And with that, we'll sign off. Do you want to say goodbye
Okay.
to our
Yeah,
members?
no, yeah. Well, thank y'all. Please reach out to me if you have not met me. If you see me at a conference, stop me, say hello. Love meeting new people. So yeah, this is a great opportunity. I love working with ACET. Many years. I always try to make sure I present for you all because it's just a great group of people.
We
So thanks.
appreciate your partnership very much. All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you. Bye, y'all.